Hi, today I'm going to review the BLF Q8 Flashlight. This is a high quality, high power flashlight available from Banggood. It was designed by a team of experts from Budget Light Forum and is made by Thorfire. And the light came together really well. It took about a year for everything to come together, but the end result is a really nice light. It comes with your usual stuff. It has a programming guide here, which I'll get into a little bit later. It's extremely customizable. The user interface is excellent. You don't really have to program it. Standard operating is you click to turn on, you click to turn off, and it has a stepless ramp, which I'll show you a little bit later. The light is really good quality. It's a heavy light, but that's necessary for the kind of heat sinking required. It's got a tripod hole you can see there for attaching to a tripod, or you can attach a lanyard accessory to it. Green LED, which is quite bright. It's always on. You can optionally turn it off in programming mode, either temporarily or permanently. But it's actually quite bright at night and makes kind of a nice moonlight. The LEDs are XPL. They're a neutral white tint, and they're very efficient and very bright. So in its default configuration, you simply choose the brightness level by holding down the switch button as the light ramps up and ramps down. It's actually quite intuitive to use. It is very responsive, and it ramps up in about 2 seconds, and similarly it'll ramp down in about 2 seconds. You can, if you miss a level and you want to go back down a little bit, you simply release the switch and press it again. It'll switch directions for ramp. The light has mode memory, meaning that whatever output level you selected the last time you had turned off the light, the next time you turn it on with a simple click, it will remember that level. By the way, the light uses 2 drivers, a 7135 for lower modes that is very efficient, and an FET driver for higher modes, which is very bright. And the LED here will indicate either 1 blink or 2 blinks depending on which driver the mode is in. There are shortcuts to both the lowest moonlight load of 0.5 lumens, and use that by just a long click from off. And if you do a double click, either from off or from on, it will go right to maximum. The shortcuts for lowest and highest aren't memorized in the mode memory, unless you actually ramp to the lowest or to the highest, in which case it will be memorized. But so that's nice, having short clicks for both moonlight and for maximum. Because the light can get quite hot in maximum, there are ways to lock out the light so it's not accidentally activated. You can either do it mechanically with a simple twist, or there's a quadruple click from off which will lock it out electronically. So it's nice to have a way to lock it out. You don't want to leave such a light in a knapsack where it might accidentally come on, because this can start fires if it's in a confined space with some combustible material. I won't get into the million programming options for this light. I will get around to some of them at the very end of the video, but I wanted to show you the batteries configuration. This light uses 4 18650 cells. It can actually use anywhere from 1 to 4 cells because they're all in parallel, which is a nice, safe way to run batteries that is in a multi-hole configuration light like this. They do require high drain cells, and the cells do have to be button tops. They don't have to have much of a button top, but they do have to have a slight raise on the positive side so that you can, they'll make contact with the positive head of the light. I'm using Samsung 30Q button top batteries in this, and they work well. They're high drain, they're unprotected. You can use either protected or unprotected cells, but since these are all in parallel, I feel relatively safe using unprotected cells, and that allows you the high drain necessary to run the light at maximum. Okay, the next part of this video, I'm going to do some night shots, just to show you what the light looks like at night. And then finally we'll come back to the review section and I'll show you how to do a little bit of programming, because it can be a bit overwhelming at first, but we'll describe it later. All right, on to the night shots. Okay, we're just ramping up and down the light, shining it around the yard. The trees in the background there are about 100 feet away. This video isn't very good at showing how bright the light actually is in person, so I will show some pictures which show a better view of what it looks like in person. But this light is really bright. When I first turned it on outside, it just lit everything up and it was very impressive. So what I'll do is I'll show this against some other commonly used lights, just to show you what the comparison is like with some others. Okay, here are the lights we're going to compare this against. There's a couple of AA lights in there and a couple of single 18650 lights. A Zebralight SC5W, a BLF A6, Sunwind D40A, which is a 4 AA light, a Convoy C8, and this light. So, first up here is the Zebralight SC5W at 500 lumens. This is actually a pretty bright light. I'll show you a camera still to give you a better idea of what it looks like in person. And here we have a light that lights up pretty much most of the yard. It's not extremely bright, but it certainly is bright for a single AA. Next we have the BLF A6 at 1200 lumens. This is a nice EDC light. It's very bright, has a nice neutral white tint. And again, this lights up a lot. It has a very similar profile to the Q8, which I'll show a little bit later. But yeah, it's a really nice light for an EDC. Next is a 4 AA light. This is a Sunwind D40A, and this is fairly typical of a light that uses 4 AA batteries. It's a fairly throwy light, about 900 lumens, and has a good hotspot. So it lights up a lot, but is meant a little bit more for throw than the previous two lights. Next is the Convoy C8, and this is definitely a throwy light. It's about 1000 lumens. It actually throws a little further than the Q8. It's around 85,000 lux. I think the Q8 is around 50,000 lux at 1 meter. So it's the C8. You can see that it's got a very well-defined hotspot, but it has a good spill for lighting things up around the yard too. And finally, here's the Q8. This light just blows all the other lights away. It has a fairly good hotspot, but a lot of spill too. I would say it's it's kind of a floody light, but it's so bright that the hotspot really does throw quite a distance as well. And this just lights up the whole yard. You can see in these next few pictures. Here the Q8, as you can see, it blows away all the others. These are all fixed exposures, by the way. So the camera here, I fixed the exposures so that it's not compensating for the brightness between each of the lights. So this is actually, it just shows you just the amount of power this light has, and I really like it. Lights up the entire yard. Gotta say, this is a very impressive light. Has to be my favorite so far. This picture just shows a comparison between the Convoy C8 and the BLF Q8. You can see the Convoy C8, similar throw, but the Q8 just has so much more flood. Okay, back to the review. Finally, I just want to show you how to use the programming. So first I'll show you some strobes here. The light defaults with strobes enabled, and I hate them, so let's turn them off. Alright, so this picture is rather overwhelming, but it shows you how to use the light and how to program the light. And it's definitely overwhelming at first. When I first took a light at how to program the light, or even how to use a lot of the features of the light, I took a look at this diagram and thought, what do I do? So I actually went onto YouTube, saw a video of somebody using it, and then it was very easy. So I'm just going to show you the one thing, how to turn off strobes, and that'll show you how this programmable light works. And I think once you see it happen once, you'll get an idea of how to do it for all the other features. So let's zoom in here to a section of the chart that shows you how to configure strobes. In this way, if we're in ramping mode, you have to press and hold the switch for 8 seconds, and that will put you into configuring the light. From here, what you're going to see is you're going to see a series of blinks, which indicates which setting you're in. You'll see a couple of quick blinks, then a single blink, a couple of quick blinks, then 2 blinks, and that shows you which setting you're in. In this case, there's 1 through 4, and we want setting number 4, which is the strobes. Once you're into that setting, you then click the light the number of times you want to set. In this case, we want to disable the strobes, so we'll click it once, and then you just leave the light and it will quick blink 4 times and you'll have configured the light, and at that point you will no longer have strobes. Okay, so now I'll actually show you how that works. So press and hold the switch. In this case, I'm going to ramp down so I don't have to see it at maximum for 8 seconds. And you just hold it for 8 seconds, and then you'll see the blinking start. There's the first blink. Now we want blink number 4. It does a couple of quick blinks. Now it blinked twice, so we're in setting 2. Wait, and now it's going to go into setting 3. And finally, we're going to get into setting 4 here, and then we'll want to click it a single time. There, and that's it. You can see now it's been configured, and we'll no longer have strobes. Now when you double click for maximum, it just turns off the light. It no longer does the strobe. So don't be overwhelmed by the number of choices. This light is very programmable, but you don't have to program it. It works really well out of the box. But that's how you program it if you want to. This light also comes with a ton of features. I'll just show you one here, which is showing you the voltage of the batteries. In this case, you do a triple click, and then it just counts out the voltage. It blinks, in this case, 4, pause, and then 1, which indicates the batteries are at 4.1 volts. And that's just one of the features, but it's useful to do. And I'd read the manual and instructions, and it'll show you all kinds of things. You can blink at the temperature of the light. You can program the light, indicating whether you want to use a time step down if it overheats or a temperature step down, all kinds of stuff. So have fun playing with the light, or not. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.